Hey you guys, it's Xaryu here, and today I'm going to walk you guys through Mage versus Mage, my matches in the CDL qualifiers. Let's hop into it. If you guys don't know my spec or my build, it should be down below. I'm playing 17-0-34. That's MCS Frost Arcane build with Ice Barrier. The same exact spec I played for the entire CDL qualifiers. Now, let's break down every single aspect of the Mage versus Mage duel here. I am playing Frost Reflector and Fire Reflector for the extra resistances and, of course, the opportunity to reflect spells. I was dueling Samiyam in a best of two, actually best of three. Best of two wouldn't make any sense. The other ones were point-based with two matches, but these are best of three. The winner of the best of three moves forward, and the loser of the best of three was knocked to the lower bracket. I do want to say Sam is an absolutely incredible mage. If you guys don't know him, check him out. He's my homie. Alright, I just wanted to upload this video for purely educational purposes to help you guys in your Mage versus Mage matchup. Without further ado, let's hop into it. I had a bit more fire resist on my gear from Molten Core and a bit of frost resist, of course, from the Trinket and the Arcane Talent. First, I'm going to break this down real slow for you guys. Duel starts, Ice Barrier, Fire Ward up, Mage Armor, Dampen Magic, Max Rank Arcane Intellect. This buff here is just the Savory Divine Delight. Duel starts, first, global, going for a Polymorph. If he doesn't counterspell the Polymorph, the next thing I would use is get him in the Polymorph and press Detect Magic, right? So I can see what buffs and debuffs he has. I'll see what actually happens here. Going for the Poly, he interrupts me. Immediately upon getting interrupted, I should be using my wand. Let's see if I do that. I don't, but I put up the Ice Barrier. Since he is not playing MCS, I actually can use different spells. So he interrupts me, and I put up the Ice Barrier, and I try to put up the ward, but the Poly ends up going off. Continue this here. Frostbolt comes out. He breaks my barrier, and then Frostbolt's very smart by him. He's doing an incredible opener. That I actually was teaching Joker. If you guys know Joker, World First Level 60, I was teaching Joker how to do the Mage versus Mage. If you guys want to see that, or if it's already uploaded, let me know. We'll keep playing this video. Frostbolt's being Cassidy, Polys, very smart of him. This last Poly, though, does resist. He has an Ice Barrier that's up for 5 seconds, and a Fire Ward that's up for 8 seconds, okay? I already have both my wards expired. I'm still full life, but I have no more, like shields or armors. I have a little bit of this Fire Ward left, and we do catch that resist, which is going to give me a little bit of mana back from the Arcane Talent Magic Absorption. I'm casting Frostbolt, right? I don't want to burn through my mana super quick. Mage versus Mage is a lot of mana management. If I'm just casting Arcane Explosion, Cone of Cold, Fire Blast, like you guys saw me do versus the Warlock or the Priest, I would go out of mana, he would cheat me, he would reset, he would bandage back to full. Now I'm out of mana and I would lose, so you have to play this and you have to pace yourself. Casting a couple Frostbolts, pacing myself, he uses the nade, we blink, now we silence. A big combo, guys, that you want to use in the Mage vs. Mage is Frost Nova and Counterspell if you're using that Blanket Counterspell talent for improved CS. Since he's now in that Frost Nova, I can do things like Cone of Cold, like Frostbolt Cone of Cold, like Fire Blast, like Scorch Fire Blast, get big shatter combos off in that Frost Nova. Definitely something you want to try to do. Look at that. Look how much damage that is. Cone of Cold, take him down to 73% just like that. A Fire Blast uses a great Fire Reflector, so I actually Fire Blast back to myself. I still have that Frost Reflector and the Fire Reflector up. I get a clear casting. I use it on Arcane Explosion. Now I cast that Thorium Nade. And he blinks the Thorium Nade and then gets his Thorium Nade on me. Very wonderfully played here by Sam, although he is down quite a bit of health there from that burst. I have another clear casting, so I want to use it on something more expensive, preferably a Cone of Cold or a Fire Blast or an Arcane Explosion, right? I wouldn't want to use this on like a rank 1 Frostbolt or even a normal Frostbolt. So Cone of Cold comes up. We're going to use it. It gets resisted. Duel's pretty close here. I'd say I'm slightly ahead, but the mana and health are pretty close, right? Get a resist there, a little unfortunate. We Fire Blast him, he gets absorbed. I have a Ice Barrier in 3. I want to make sure to Ice Barrier ASAP. I use my Frost Reflector at a time, like I used it right here. And he actually cancels his Frostbolt and it doesn't get reflected. So beautifully played there by Sam once again. He Fire Blast me, I still have that Fire Reflector if needed. That Cone of Cold resist, my Frost Reflector on Savages, and Arcane Explosion. And this is like kind of a race right here. He actually has a slight health advantage, mana disadvantage, but it's getting pretty scary here. He casts Scorch. We reflect a Scorch. He absorbs the Reflect with that Fire Ward. He casts another Scorch into the Reflect. He might not see that it's up. And a third Scorch. So really that's what turned the tides there, is 3 Scorches there into the Reflect. And now all of a sudden, not only did I absorb all that, but he reflected all of it, and then my additional damage back onto him. And now at 30%, we're back ahead. Here I got really lucky, and an Impact hit Sam. Now Impact, I don't have Impact. He has Impact, right? In his spec, I'm Arcane. He got impacted because it reflected back onto himself, so very unfortunate. He blinks and uses a Tuber. Now the Tuber to heal. The problem with using a Tuber is that it shares cooldown with Mana Gem. And in this matchup, he's low HP, so now he's using a Tuber, which, you know, seems fine, although he's low mana as well. If he used a Mana Gem, it sheeped me, and then bandaged back to health, he might be in a better position. But now, I have a huge mana advantage, and the health is very similar. He uses that Frost Reflector, I reflect Frost back to myself. Unfortunate, that was a nice reflect by Sam. Now I decide to Scorch because, you know, so I don't get reflected on Frost, of course. Couple Scorches coming out. I get the clear casting. I'll probably use Fire Blast to get a lot of value out of it. Now he's low health and low mana. I think he realizes this, so he's going to have to try to run away and reset. I blink a Counterspell Nova, the same exact combo that we talked about earlier, so that he can't blink out of the Nova, so I can get a Shatter combo with Cone of Cold or Frostbolt. So let's see what happens. Go for the Cone of Cold. He blocks it. Beautifully played there by Sam. I bandage to force him out of the block. If he sits in the block while I bandage, I go to almost full HP. There's no way I can lose at that point. He comes out of the block to stop the bandage, and he goes to the Polymorph. Great play by Sam. I don't have a counter spell. Nothing I can really do to stop this Polymorph, and I get one more Fire Blast off, actually get him to 6% because it crit, super close there. Now he's casting the Evocation to get back to full mana. I'm going to be sitting in this poly. I do get that clear cast, but I'm going to go back to full health. So at the end of this poly, I'm going to be pretty much full HP and a little less than half mana. And by the end of this poly, he's going to be, you know, maybe full mana and still low HP. I block the Polymorph there, and I can finish him off. Fire Blast on cooldown, Cone of Cold's on cooldown, but if I just Arcane Explosion, he should die. Arcane Explosion, and he goes down. So that was duel number 1. We used both Fire Reflector and Frost Reflector. Wasn't bad. The main thing that you want to keep an eye out is those reflectors in the duel. If you get a couple bad reflects, it's pretty sketchy. Another thing I would probably say is that if you're behind, guys, go for those sheeps, go for the reset and shrink back up. If the enemy mage gets a lot of good crits and you get a lot of unlucky resists, all of a sudden they're in the lead. You can literally just sheep them, go for the reset, eat and shrink back to full, and then restart the duel and hope the next time around you guys have slightly better RNG in that situation. So next duel's going to start, right? I'm going to want to remake my Mana Gem. Hopefully I remember to do that. Both my Frost Reflector and Fire Reflector on cooldown. This is a big choice. Should I switch to... I have Arena Grandmaster, I have Arcanite Dragonling, I have Barav's Peasant Caller, a lot of different trinket choices to me. I could potentially right here, maybe it would have been better for me to swap to Arena Grandmaster and maybe something like a Spell Power Trinket. The reason I stay with these is because they're going to come off cooldown maybe mid-duel, and then I can use them mid-duel to help me to my advantage. And Frost Reflector is giving me a passive 15 Frost resistance, and the Fire Reflector is giving me a passive 18 fire resistance. So that means I'm going to have extra resistance even when the trinkets are on cooldown. Every resist, not only is it preventing damage onto me, but it's giving me mana back. So resistance is very important here in the Mage Mirror. As per the dueling rules, guys, we are dueling twice in a row. You duel, you shrink back to full, you duel again. You don't wait for cooldowns, right? I guess 3 times in a row. If it was 1-1, you go for that third duel as well. Duel starts, we poly and detect magic, right? Just like we talked about, guys, poly detect magic in that opener. He does the same thing, we do the same thing, and we're waiting for the first polymorph to break. Not much you can do here. We both have Ice Barrier up and Fire Ward up, and it's looking pretty even at this point. Similar health and mana. We break out a bit earlier and sheep him again. If you guys didn't know, there's a mechanic called Heartbeat. After like half of the diminishing return, or maybe a bit more, heartbeat will start into effect, which means every second there is a chance for the polymorph to break. So if you poly summon for 20 seconds, there is a chance for it to break before that 20 seconds is over, and this chance gets increasingly higher and higher, so it's probably going to break at some point in the 7 to 12 second range a lot of the time, so you want to keep that in mind. We got lucky there, it broke before the end, and we resheep. Now we Frostbolt, Thorium Nade combo. The Frostbolt resists, it's unfortunate, Thorium Nade's already in the air, it hits, he blinks, and we get another Frostbolt. So right now, I'd say we're in the lead, right? We're using the Thorium Nade on cooldown. 1, that's an interrupt, but 2 is damage. It hits for 500 damage sometimes. It hits pretty hard on those Thorium Nades, so we want to get that on cooldown. It's only 1 minute, might as well as free damage for 0 mana. Getting that on cooldown, and like I said, guys, it's a war of attrition. We're slowly burning him down in mana, and then we can come back from there potentially. We have 3 minutes left on the reflectors. He has the Frost Ice Ward up, rather. We're going for some Frost Bolts, right? If you wanted, you could Scorch here instead, get some true damage onto him without getting the Ice Ward value. The reason I choose to Frostbolt is because we're both kind of just trading damage here at this point. I still have the Ice Barrier, and I still have my Ward available, so I'm going to win this trade, and it's very mana effective. Plus, if I get something like a Frostbite and he just blinked, I could get some big crits onto him with that blanket counterspell, potentially force out an Ice Block. Let's see what happens, though. He goes for a Poly, and he's trying to fake the Poly. I'm being really cognizant of that fake and holding the counterspell, but if he goes a little bit too close, then I would counterspell that Poly, like right there. We counterspell the Poly, go with the Nova. It does resist, but that Nova counterspell would have been nice. We go for the Cone of Cold there, get some damage out. Go for another Frostbolt, trying to save mana, get the resist, get a bit of mana back. Going for some more Frostbolts, getting a lot of damage out onto him. The impact comes out, and he Polys into the first aid. Now, since I didn't Cold Snap, I can't block this, but if I would say a block here is a little too preemptive. If I were to block right here, he would have already gotten to like 82%. Oh, he's ahead in mana, and now I would have used my 1 block with a snap, and no. I think that would have put me behind. So it's better just to sit this, let him first aid, and we kind of restart the duel. Now, the Poly breaks a little bit early, but he gets a resheep out onto me. We get a little bit of damage, get him back down to 65%. Now, he's casting a Pyroblast here. This is a little scary, right? He has that Pyro in his spec, so he's going to sheep me, go for the Pyro. Very smart play here from Sam. I'm hoping the Poly breaks early and I get the Fire Ward. I didn't Cold Snap, so I can't block, so the Pyro's just going to hit. Although, I'm going to have an Ice Barrier to absorb probably half of it or most of this Pyroblast. Let's see what ends up happening, though. Pyro's being casted. Boom, midair. I immediately put up that Fire Ward. It does 541 damage and takes on my Ice Barrier, so it's like 1,300 Pyro there with that Cone of Colds in combination. So quite a bit of damage. He evens out the fight here. I would say I'm only slightly ahead right now. He's ahead in mana. I'm a little ahead in health, so it's very, very close duel. He reapplies the Ice Barrier. I don't have Ice Barrier up quite yet. We get the Nova and the Silence, but he gets the Ignite proc. Normally here at Frostbolt, Cone of Cold, but with that Ignite, it's a little unfortunate. Hopefully we can get the Cone of Cold anyway. Boom! 201 damage through the Ice Barrier, so that was like a 900 damage Cone of Cold. That's insane. And we go with the Fire Blast. Hopefully that crits into the Nova. He blinks through us. We're casting a Frostbolt, trying to fake the CS. We'll see if we can do it. He Novas. We blink, so we can't get the value from the Frost Nova. We're at 1,000 mana. He's at 1,600. We have the Manage Him available. Very close duel here. I want to probably manage him because I don't need a tuber quite yet. Getting some more Frostbolts out. He's getting some more Scorches out. Wow, hold on. So I'm going to go back right here. I'm at 1,000 mana after reapplying that Ice Barrier. I get a resist, and that resist puts me up to 1434. That's insane. That's really good. That resist talent giving me all that mana back. That means we're pretty much back even in mana just from that. I get another resist there, it looks like, and that puts us back to 1772. Now that talent's putting us far ahead. That means Arcane is just doing super well here in this matchup. And I was casting a couple more Frostbolts, going for the Iron Nade once again to get it on cooldown. He goes for the Sheep, and before I get the Nade though, maybe I should have done that Nade a bit sooner. And since he gets that Sheep, he's going to be able to eat and shrink back to higher life totals. Now Sam stands up here and goes for the Resheep. He was scared that the Sheep was going to break to the Heartbreak. He could have maybe sat down and just kept shrinking and then wait and hope to get lucky at that point, because now he goes for the Resheep. He's in combat. He won't be able to get that third Sheep or that eat and drink here for a while. He has 5 seconds left down on Bandage, but at the end of the Sheep, he's at 42% life and 2,200 mana. So our mana is even, but I have a 60% life advantage, so I would say I'm pretty far ahead here. We have 2 minutes left on our Reflectors. We have that Mana Tome available. We're in a really, really good spot here. This would be our duel to lose. Casting that rank 1 Frostbolt just so we can't get away. He gets that Frostbite. We could probably blink this. We'll see if we do. We actually sit it. He gets the Thorium Nade, so he's actually getting a lot of really good things happening here for Sam. He's casting the Frostbolt. We blink through, go for the Thorium Nade, pair it with the Nova. So this is another, I'm actually glad this happened. Nova CS is really good because then you can get the Shatter. Nova Nade is also a pretty nice combination if they don't have blink. Now he goes into the Ice Block to counter that, which is good. If I Cone of Cold crit there, you could just die. Or get to 5%, and like it would have been pretty sketchy for him. But at 42%, we're kind of chilling. Now what I'm going to do here is drop combat and just eat and shrink, right? Like it forces him out of the block. If I eat and shrink, then that's really, really, really bad for him. In this situation, he probably just needs to sheet me in 3 seconds and the diminishing return is off and go for go for a full reset. This is pretty sketchy, but we'll see what ends up happening. He casts his Poly, trying to fake the counter spell. We go with a huge Cone of Cold crit there, man. 1,027 damage, brutal there for Yam. But we get him down to 12%. He's low mana as well, so it's just war of attrition with the mage versus mage a lot of the time. Polymorph being casted, counter spell coming out. He does fake that though. Clear casting, so we can get another Arcane Explosion into another Fire Blast. He's going to go for another Polymorph. Resist there on the Cone of Cold, unfortunate. Now here would be a Polymorph that I could really consider ice blocking, right? He's really low. If he starts to bandage, if I block the Poly and Nova, it's probably good value. Let's see what happens. We block the Poly and Nova, and then he bandages. What I should have done, it's actually a slight mistake by me, I should have waited till the bandage and then block. So waited just 1 second. If I rewind right here, he Polys, so I should not block, wait till he bandage, then blocks off the bandage. I block, he repolys, then bandages. It actually makes it pretty sketchy because now that bandage is just so powerful. The heavy Rune Cloth, man, being able to take him all the way back up to 50%. Heartbreak beats the Poly there, but now I'm out of mana, he's out of mana, and I'm only winning by 50%. So I'm actually, in this past minute, he's come more ahead than I have. Like, this is pretty sketchy here. Going for another Fire Blast. We had a clear cast, which is nice. Hopefully get a Cone of Cold with that. He's too far now. I could use it on a Frostbolt or another Fire Blast. Just getting a lot of value here with the Wand. The reason I'm so set on Wanding here is Wand is free damage with no mana cost. Since we're both low mana, who's going to win this duel? The person that gets more damage off with no mana, right? For me, just getting off 5, 6, 7, 8 Wands for 60 to 100 damage each, that adds up. So I got off like 4 or 5 Wands there. It's fantastic. 58 damage. Kind of waddling in, and then here's what kind of seals the deal. He runs away. I Evocate. Remember, he used Evocate in the first duel. I know he doesn't have it. His only option here is to come back and counterspell me. If he counterspells me, guess what? He came back and he didn't eat. So I'm like forcing him to make a choice. He either lets me Evocate, and I Evocate back to full mana. Now I'm full health, full mana. He has no Evocate, low mana, half HP. Or he comes back to stop the Evocate, but now I stopped him from running away. So effectively, it's just a great play here to Evocate to force the player's hand. He runs away, I'm Evocating, he decides to run away. Probably the correct choice by him. He's getting more mana and more health from it. I blink in, and he's running away, trying to get some food and water ticks as he's running. And I'm kind of just pinning him on the edge of the duel arena. He has to come back eventually. We get that rank 1 Frostbolt out. He's at 1800 mana, 59% life. He blinks in. Now that blink in might have been a mistake because, blink is a high mana cost, puts him a little bit lower on the mana, and now he's closer to me, right? But he might have had to do that because he might have been out of the tool range anyway. Go for the Thorium Nade. Looks like I don't land it or resists. Go with the counter spell on him. Throw out the Nade onto him for some free damage. Nade resists. Unfortunate. He blinks, or I blink out of that Nova. He goes for the Poly. Try to go for another crit or two. And the full Poly comes out. We'll see if this breaks to Heartbeat. 5 seconds in, it breaks to Heartbeat. It's actually very lucky for me. If that didn't break, he might have been able to reset a bit higher. Boom! Cone of Cold, Nova crit. Like, look at this, guys, right? Here. 1 second left on that Nova. Cone of Cold into the Nova, guys. Deadly combo, right? Shatter combo is going to give it a super, super high chance to crit. And boom! 14-0. So that's pretty much how they win. The Reflectors, in retrospect, had lower cooldown left, although the resistances may have helped, so I maybe could have switched to an Arena Grandmaster to play a bit safer. I did also mid-duel, I didn't talk about this, but swap to my mana Celestial Orb offhand, which I could have maybe used If I was running super low on mana, he started resetting, coming back, boom, popped that for a bit more mana. I had no more evocate, no more blocks, no more nade. Like, this was getting pretty sketch if he didn't die soon. If he got that sheep reset, it could have been very scary for us. Although we were getting those reflectors back, still the mana, so things were looking okay there in that duel. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you did not enjoy the video, make sure to give it a big thumbs down. This is the mage versus mage matchup, guys. Breaking down every single global, what's going on in my head as I'm dueling this, my decisions on whether to Frostbolt, Scorch, Fire Blast, Cone of Cold, Arcane Explosion, to Poly, to Counterspell, the nade, trinket choices, all of that kind of stuff broken down in this video. If you guys like this, definitely be sure to let me know. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, don't forget to subscribe, and guys, BlizzCon is coming up when I'm recording this video next week. I'm not sure when this video is going live, but if you guys see me at BlizzCon, definitely come up and say hi. I would absolutely love to meet you guys. But I'm rambling. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.